And he said, Lonnie, he said, I kind of implored him. I said, can you help me out? Because we know in this community, especially at churches, churches run into a lot of people that need things. A lot of people turn to churches for help for this reason or that reason.
And even especially this time of year
Yeah.
in these economic
Yeah.
times, we've certainly had a lot of people that are needy, but you know,
Mhm.
they're wanting to maybe get something for their children for
Mhm.
Christmas, and they're barely making ends meet.
And
So
our
a
church
good
is
place to go is to look at your church.
Our church is no different, and I'm going to leave my church unnamed because this is not an advertisement for my church or the
Mhm.
giving of my church.
Mhm.
But I will say this: whenever I let my pastor know what I was trying to accomplish, he brought me back into his office because I kind of implored him for some help, and he said, "Come back to my office." And I sat on his couch, and he presented to me a stack of letters that come into the church this time of year. Different situations, people needing help, keeping their electricity on, uh, losing employment and not being able to feed their children, sickness, a lot of different things, for medical bills, paying for gas to get to Salina for medical treatment. There's just so many scenarios. And he presented me a stack of letters.
Wow, because
and
we don't think about that. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't have those coming here
Yeah.
to the radio station or to ourselves at our homes necessarily.
I
The
s-
nonprofits are always
yeah.
out there maybe looking for a year-end donation,
That's true.
but these are personal stories.
Very personal,
And
and
he
I
gave you a stack of those.
and I skimmed the letters. I just briefly skimmed them,
Mhm.
and after doing so, I was quite humbled by all the needs that are presented to not just our church, but to several others. So what I did with my money is I gave it to my pastor, and I said, Pastor, I want you to give this to someone that you feel is deserving of this money.
Mhm.
And what a choice that has to be for a pastor to make, because there's so many needs.
Lonnie, that, I know, in a sense, that's a
Uh-huh.
cop-out.
Mhm. every single
It's tough.
letter.
How do I give to this one when this one's
Exactly.
equally as needy?
And can you put yourself in the
Exactly.
situation of the pastors here in Salina, or the churches here in Salina? They can't help everyone. Unfortunately, they can't help everyone. But helping one person is helping one person. So I gave the money to my pastor, and I said, I want you to give this to someone that you feel is very deserving. And his reaction was kind of like mine. He's like, where do I go?
Where do I
do?
start? There's
You
so
know.
much need.
Mhm, mhm.
Exactly.
And I think what he did, because he called me after he gave the money away, he called me to let me know what he did, and he said he had a young woman come to church on a Saturday night, and was in a really tough situation, single parent, unemployed, not knowing where their next meal is coming from. And he gave it to this person who will go unnamed.
Of course.
But I know that you did some good by just giving us the opportunity to do that. And I applaud our church, and I applaud you for doing
Well, and I
something.
hope to maybe make this a tradition for the
Mhm.
Joan Jerkovich Show, starting, of course, with my family here at
Mhm.
KINA, but also maybe going into other organizations and saying, here, let's have 4 of your people go out,
Yeah.
because it just gets us in the spirit of Christmas, too, to be thinking, because it sounded like you went a number of days really
Mhm.
contemplating who's needy, who am I going to give this to? And, and you certainly, then like I said, gave it a little bit of a cop-out by saying, I can't pick out of this
Yeah,
stack, I'll get my
yeah.
pastor to.
Yeah.
But then he had a very present situation
Mhm.
where she walked in. Did he happen to share with you how she reacted when he gave her the $50?
No, he did not. I didn't elaborate because I know some of I didn't prod him a whole lot for that. I know she was grateful. I mean,
Of
who wouldn't be?
course,
They're
yeah.
reaching out, and this particular person did ask for help.
Mhm.
They were in that kind of a situation that they reached out and asked for some help, and he was able to help. I'm sure she was delighted. I'm sure everybody that is receiving this year with your Secret Santa promotion, what you're doing with your show, is very grateful.
And I want to talk about pastors, because we all know that they don't live on a very extravagant income,
Mhm.
certainly themselves. I've known pastors, and I certainly have even heard of my priests at the Catholic Church, who've gotten out of their own pockets
Mhm.
to give to needy people.
Yeah.
What have you done? Do you have any other stories just personally of where you've given and how that makes you feel?
I'm a huge believer. Here's the thing: I enjoy giving more than receiving,
Mhm.
and
I know.
you give where you can. I mentioned the church. I give a lot at the church. When I say a lot, I give as much as I can. Pardon me, as much as I can to like our church's love fund, and our love fund at our church goes to help people like I mentioned, to pay their bills, to buy groceries for their children if they're unable to, or what have you. Missions giving. You just have to look for them. There's a lot of opportunities where you can help. It doesn't have to be a big amount either, because when you open your wallet and you give a little, you actually give a lot. So.
Well, and I know that I can even remember times that I kind of dug inside myself and gave some, even just tips, cash, whatever, maybe a little extra to the waitress, maybe a little extra here or a little extra there. One time in particular I remember is I was donating some items to one of the nonprofits that I had cleared out of my house. And they came in a truck. There was quite a bit there, and these two men worked really hard to load some heavy desks and some furniture pieces and other things into their truck. And I said something about their jobs, and they were like, yeah, we're doing okay. We make about minimum wage here. And, I was watching how hard they were working. So I said, I don't even know if this is appropriate, but, I slipped them both a tip.
Yeah.
And they were so appreciative.
Yeah.
And, when I looked at them, I thought, what I gave them, just a little side something, not only was going to maybe make a big difference in paying some of the utility bills for them or something like that. And it wasn't a huge amount. Actually, it was $20 each, but I was feeling generous. I'll tell you what, I got more out of that. I got way more out of giving that to them than of course they enjoyed getting it, but there is so much to think about with giving, especially this time of year.
And there's a lot of opportunities. One of my situations was here recently when we went to Kansas City, my wife and I, when we went through the toll booth on the turnpike, and when I stopped to pay, I gave the young lady, I gave her a $20 bill. My toll was $2, and I said, with the change, would you please pay the tolls for the next few vehicles and tell them Merry Christmas?
Pay it forward.
Yeah,
Pay it forward.
exactly.
Well, Lonnie, that's a great story. We're going to wrap with you as our Secret Santa. Thanks so much for
Awesome.
doing that for me.
Thank you for letting me do it.
Oh, you bet.
It's fun to give.
Well, we're going to have people stay tuned because we've got our next Secret Santa coming up. You're listening to Joan on the Joan Jerkovich Show, 910 KINA Salina. Stay tuned again for our next Secret Santa. All right. Fun. And that is going to be Danielle.
Did that work out okay? Did I do good? Do you have to edit it all
Done
out?
good.
Or?
Yeah, we'll have to edit a few of those things out. A big thanks to my listeners for staying tuned in to the Joan Jerkovich Show here on 910 KINA. We're back with our third Secret Santa, and this time we're talking to my girl here in the office, Danielle Norwood. Welcome,
Hey,
Danielle.
how are you?
Good. Well, I had a number of people to choose from here at the station as to who I was going to send out with my $50 bills for Secret Santas, but I had to have you. We're
I'm
the
glad.
only two ladies here, so we need a female in the mix. So.
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, I think you took this really seriously because you came back to my office and you had a lot of thought about it. You had some people in mind and just some situations that were going on. And so what do you want to tell us about your even personal experience and the persons you've chosen to give away your Secret Santa?
Well, I wanted to be very particular about who received the money because I know a lot of people are struggling, and I just wanted to make sure that whatever I did had a lot of impact on the particular person. And so I did a lot of soul searching. In fact, I even got with you ahead of time to say, I'm kind of going in this direction, and you said basically listen to your heart, listen to yourself, and it's going to guide you. And I kept being guided back to one particular person, whom happens to be somebody who I know pretty closely, and she is in a situation where she and her husband have 7 children, and they are currently homeless.
Oh my.
And the ages range from 16 as the oldest, and the youngest one is 6 or 7, I believe. And so by no real fault of their own, we're in an economy and society right now where a lot of people are just basically a paycheck away, and they got into a situation where they ended up being homeless. So they are staying with family members right now, but that's not going to go on forever. So needless to say, Christmas, especially when you have all those children, can be really tight. And I think Christmas is really about kids in the house. So I wanted to do something for her. So I called her up and I said, here is my thought. You know, I realized that $50 isn't going to do a lot in terms of monetary for 7 kids.
Get you back into a home.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But in terms of just making sure that they have a little nicer Christmas than they would have previously, I want to do this. I want to do this on behalf of Joan, because we just want to bless your life with something that maybe will allow them to feel special, to know that people care about them on a larger level. And she was just so overwhelmed by the thought that anybody would even consider her, that it made me smile, because I knew I was doing the right thing.
I feel that energy. I mean, I felt your spirit lift almost with your smile, and just this energy about you being able to do that for someone who's certainly so needy.
Absolutely.
How are these kids faring? How are they holding up? 7 children homeless,
7
being shuffled
children.
around probably to different people who are graciously opening their doors.
Absolutely. They have been remarkably wonderful. They are some of the most, how would you say, well-spoken kids, just very, yes ma'am, yes sir, just very gracious and grateful for the situation that they're even in, that there's a roof over their heads and food in their bellies every night. And it may not be first class food, but you know, they're able to survive. And the mom and dad have been just really the core of this family, saying, you know what, we need to be grateful to God for whatever it is that we do have, and you know, not take anything for granted. And so there's a real strong family unit there that has allowed them to withstand all the challenges. Because can you imagine living out of your car, especially, you know, this
I
time of
can't.
year is extremely cold, and 7 kids, 2 adults, 1 car. You know, it's a station wagon, but still, where
I
do
don't
you
even
put
know,
your
when you
things?
sleep sitting up and you have to have certain things.
Exactly.
The children, I assume, are still in school.
The kids are in school. They manage to be at the library to use their computers for internet access. But at one particular point, they were able to live in a hotel, and she was using a rice cooker and an electric skillet to cook their meals, because there wasn't a microwave inside the motel, and there wasn't even a refrigerator, and they were using coolers to basically live out of this one room and 9 people. I have a house and 2 people, and sometimes I think the walls are just too limited, it's too small just for the 2 of us.
In a house.
In a house, forget having one room and all those people in the one room. So it's just been one thing after another. And you know, she's graduating from beauty school next month, so you know,
That's a
everybody's
great career.
really proud, because now she can actually establish a career. And her husband is an aspiring artist as well, and so he's been able to use this time to really be creative and work on some things. But you know, he would love to have a great job and be able to support his family, but things have been so, you know, iffy in terms of just the job situations with both of them, that they've just had to do what they had to do.
How has society let them down? How do we not have some sort of a safety net within our governmental systems? I would assume they're getting a little bit of public assistance.
A little bit,
Or-
but at the same time, I think there's so many people, and the situation in terms of economics is so limited that you really can't do a whole lot. I mean, you'd love to do more, but it's like, this is what we have, and you know, feel free to take it, but it's not going to be a lot. Even with food stamps and welfare, there are a lot of people that you hear about who misuse the services, the welfare and all that, but there are quite a few people who do use it responsibly and are trying to make the best out of what they get, because, you know, 7 kids, 2 adults, that's, you know, and I think it's like $200 a month that they're getting for food stamps.
For 7 kids?
Yeah, for 7 kids. That's
Wow.
not a lot. And so things come into play like hot breakfast and school lunch. And I know that there are some people that are critical of those things, but if you can only afford to basically feed your family 1 meal, you know, those other things are really important.